Hi everyone, welcome to After Class
a podcast by two passionate adult ballerinas about all things adult ballet related.
and some random thoughts in between.
We're so glad you're here.
So grab your water bottle
Or a cup of coffee.
and join us for a quick chat after class.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of After Class. Today, we're going to be talking about taking other styles of dance outside of ballet. So Yelena and I are going to share a little bit about the styles that we personally have taken, and then also just in general, how taking other styles of dance can enrich your own journey. So let's get into it.
Hello, Hannah, and hello to everyone. I'm excited about this one.
Yeah, it'll be fun because I don't think we have really talked much in detail about the other types of training we've done. Like we maybe have vaguely referenced, but not really what those other styles have been like for us, the extent of our experience. So yeah, I think this is going to be a cool conversation to have just because I think a lot of other dancers that are doing adult ballet might be maybe thinking about trying other styles or maybe have done other styles. And it's just kind of a fun conversation today.
Yeah, definitely.
Yelena, why don't you start and share what other styles you have trained in and even performed, because you did some professional dancing in China, right? So, and you had to perform different styles. So maybe talk a little bit about your dance experience outside of ballet.
Yep, that would be so hard. So, at the ballet school, I remember that we had to do every like 2 terms. So we did like 6 months of training with either contemporary dance or we did flamenco, which I love doing flamenco. So bad at it though. So uncoordinated. The music is so different. I'm only a piano dancer. You just play piano for me or classical music. Don't play anything else. So at school, I remember that we did that contemporary. We did folklore, which is the Cuba has the very strong influence from the African cultures, right? So we have Africans folklore, and it's super interesting and it's totally different. If someone has any question on what these folklore dances are, just Google YouTube folklore Cuban dances, and you will see how different those dances are from ballet. It's so different one from the other one, and we had to do it because obviously as you're gonna build up to be a professional dancer, you don't just dance ballet everywhere you go, but you also dance something else, which happened to me when I went to China. We were hired to dance in this massive theater, and we were a mix of every type of dancer from Cuba, from contemporary, from entertainment, ballet, and I remember that they tried to put me to do cabaret. So they try. I mean, they try because they did try hard until they saw that I had nothing to do with cabarets dances. But they put me in this super cute outfit. I would call a bikini with feathers. It was a bikini with feathers. Just arrived to China. We were 40 dancers. Everyone comes from different backgrounds. And classical as I am, I'm in my black leotard with my white thighs. And they said, oh, okay, the ballerinas, please put on your costume from Cabaret. And I show up. I went backstage and I show up with the bikini thing on top of my black leotard. I did not take my leotard off. And everyone was just laughing. And was just looking at me like, what are you doing? You're meant to take leotards and thighs and everything off. And I was like, there's no way. But I give it a try. And I will say, if there is something that ballet taught me, is that I don't dance cabaret.
So funny.
So I will say, to sum up really quick, I have done contemporary, folklore, flamenco, and a little bit of a cabaret. It wasn't a big deal. It was just in a massive theater with 40 dancers. So it wasn't a big deal, but I gave it a little bit of a try to that thing. And I have done salsa, but salsa is more for having fun with family and friends.
Yeah, for like social type dancing. Yeah, and it's funny because for me, the other styles that I've done has been primarily salsa, and I've done it both socially in the States, but also part of performance teams and things like that. So I've kind of done both sides of it as more of a performance style and then as a social style, which are different, just, yeah, different types of movements that you would do in a social setting versus doing on stage for salsa. And then also quite a bit of bachata and then a little bit of tango. I did tango really briefly, but I ended up injuring my foot. And so I had to kind of cut that training short.
Oh,
Yeah, those were really different from ballet because I did ballet as a child for not a super long time, but maybe like a year, and then stopped and came back to taking ballet in my 20s, like just once a week. And salsa, I really fell in love with in my early 20s. And it's so different from ballet. It's just funny because
Again, yeah.
yeah, the way you move your body is so different. It's in heels, so that was an adjustment. I had never done any form of dance in high heels before, and I before taking salsa wasn't someone who really wore heels a ton, but it was funny because now and it's probably because of having trained in salsa and bachata for a while. I love high heels because I got used to I'm like, if you can dance in high heels, you can walk around in high heels just fine. If you're doing a bunch of spins in them, you get pretty confident.
I can go to Disneyland in high heels.
Yeah, literally. It's yeah. And salsa and bachata are just Latin or ballroom shoes. High heels
Yeah.
are much more comfortable than normal shoes. Like they tend to have a little bit more padding and just the way the shoe is constructed, even of just like the placement of where the heel is and just the shoe itself is made to be very secure on your foot. So it's funny because I actually, for my wedding shoes, rather than buying normal high heels, I bought salsa heels for my wedding because I was like, if I'm going to be wearing these all night and dancing in high heels, I'm buying Latin dance heels. I'm not going to like a department store. So they make them all rhinestoned and stuff. So I wore these beautiful like burgundy satin with rhinestones all over them, salsa heels for my wedding shoes because I was like, I will be comfortable. But that's kind of my main styles outside of ballet have been in like the salsa, bachata, tango realm. But so maybe we could next kind of talk a little bit about how having ballet training first, because for both of us, ballet training was our first training, and how did that influence your training in other styles?
Yeah, so I will say that definitely, although ballet is totally different to everything that we pointed out afterwards, right? I would say that ballet just gives great sense of body awareness, definitely sense of a space. So what we call proprioception, amazing sense of a space. And it also gives you a little bit more awareness, like on how to follow up combinations. And because ballet is so well structured, so it basically teaches me the progression of what I'm gonna learn next. So
Yeah, I agree with that. I think ballet, it's funny because when I started training in salsa, a lot of times when I would be learning choreography specifically, like not so much the social dancing part, but learning a routine, and the coach or the teacher would give us some sort of move to do, and I would always in my mind translate that into a ballet term of like, oh, if there was a kick, I'd be like, okay, so it's a grand pas. You know what I mean? Like you kind of have that foundational way of identifying different movements by their ballet terms,
so
which is
much
I
true.
think just like a funny side effect of when you're trained in ballet first, you kind of always default to thinking of every movement in its ballet terminology. But I agree. I mean, I think for body awareness, ballet is just so great. I think for posture and lines and understanding how
Yeah.
to really extend through the full range of motion of your body and kind of that overall graceful aesthetic. Ballet is so great for teaching that. And I think that that can really translate into other styles. Like I know, especially for tango, because tango has such graceful look about it. The ballet training was especially good for that and the placement of it because of the way you have to hold your body using your core. I mean, that is like such a huge thing that you learn in ballet is really engaging your core and pulling up out of your hips, and that's just a great foundational posture or just body alignment to be in really for most styles of dance. There is differences, like I would say for salsa you don't have the same body alignment for salsa as you do for ballet. Ballet is way too pulled up. For salsa, you have to ground down a little bit more and a little more bend in the knees. And so there's differences, but I do think you can really take a lot of the core concepts that you learn in ballet and they will help you in other styles.
I remember trying to dance anything in Cuba, like folklore or salsa, and everyone will be like, "Oh, ballerina, just relax your shoulders, breathe and bend." And I would be like, "Oh, upright, trying to dance ballet or the salsa or dancing folklore." As soon as we go to a class, everyone knew that we were the ballerinas because we would be like, upright position, chin up, and it's totally different. It's just like shoulders bent forward on your knees and relax and feel it. And I was like, oh no, I cannot feel this. And that's what happened with the cabaret.
That's so funny. Yeah, it's definitely when I was first training in salsa, it was funny because I would all the time when I'd be out social dancing, especially, people would ask me like, "Oh, are you a ballet dancer?" Like, "Oh, what other style?" Or ballroom. People would sometimes think ballroom because it has that same carriage in some ways that
Oh,
ballet does. And
true.
so I would get that a lot, which is funny because it took me a while to relax into salsa dancing because I was
Yeah.
just what I first learned was to be very pulled up and upright and, I don't want to say stiff, but I do think sometimes there is
Oh,
like a
yes.
stiffness that there is a stiffness that can come from only having had ballet training. And so you have to learn how to let your hips move a little bit and bend your knees. And so it's funny because I definitely had that look about me too.
Oh, stand out anywhere we go. And from now on, like you're spending way more time working at your bar and your center class and that upright position.
But that's why I think that taking different styles is so enriching overall because I think sometimes if you're only taking one style, the danger is that in only moving a certain way, sometimes I think that can translate to you're always expressing yourself in just one way. And when you take different styles, it can kind of open up different ways of expressing yourself. So I would love to hear, like, for you, how taking the other styles changed how you thought about ballet and even maybe how you approached your ballet training mentally?
Yeah, so it is very interesting how, in my case, I don't know if I will answer the entire question by doing this, but like everything I did. In my case, I when you are young, I think that that's one of the reasons why we are exposed in the ballet school to so many dance styles, although it's only for a short time, 6 months. I kind of think that they do it to, well, you will decide from these. First, you are a well-rounded dancer, not just ballet, but you had a little bit of experience from flamenco and folklore and contemporary, and even the character dances, which are not ballet dances. They're character dances from Russia, Ukraine, Austria. That's what character dances are. All the dances that everyone dances on the classical ballets. And you're like, oh, what are those? Those are the folklore dances from other countries that we put into ballet. So I know that they're trying to make you a well-rounded dancer by teaching you all these dance styles. But I think that what they did to me in person, it was personally was to really realize how much I prefer ballet over any other style of dance. Kind of like, okay, so this is actually what I want to do. And I kind of learned to take learning musicality from folklore. It makes my musicality from the ballet part more clear. I don't know. I kind of learned that okay, you can actually listen to music not just by listening to the piano note like bang tan 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 tan, but you can also listen to any other instruments. Like classical ballet is not just piano. That's just the ballet class, the reality. Out of the ballet class, there is so many instruments playing on the orchestra that listening to all that, I think it kind of taught me more about musicality for sure. Pondering working for sure. It comes along from the salsa classes. Definitely pondering work build up to okay. So in salsa there is a lot of connection. In ballet, the boy is mostly showing the girl. However, there's also that connection looking at each other, facing each other, and kind of interacting more. So I will say that in general, yes, this other style of dance build up to for me to understand and be more involved into the learning process in ballet, not just from the steps, but from the music, from learning with the partner and things like that.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, I think taking other styles, and maybe this is partially because my childhood experience with ballet, as much as I loved ballet itself, my in studio experience wasn't the best. Like, I've referenced that on other episodes of just kind of like, oh, you're too old, you're starting too late. Just wasn't necessarily the most positive environment. I love ballet and the dancing itself, but there wasn't a lot of joy in the studio space or in the dancing. It was just a little bit toxic. And so I think finding salsa as a young adult in my 20s, I think it helped me to connect with the joy of dancing in a different way. And it's funny because I actually just realized this before this episode that I went back to ballet after I started salsa in my 20s because I was starting to dance and starting to perform and like really train in salsa. And I was like, I should try taking some ballet classes just for all the great things that it does for you, all the things we talked about earlier, which is with body awareness and flexibility and strength. And, so I was like, I should find an adult ballet class. And coming back to ballet, I think because I was doing it alongside of salsa, and salsa was bringing me so much joy in dancing. And it was so fun and so free, and it wasn't this fixation on that your body has to look a certain way or you have to be a certain age. I mean, that's one of the things I love most about salsa dancing in a salsa community is when you go out dancing, it's literally people of all shapes, all sizes, all ages. Like some of my absolute favorite partners to dance with are like 75-year-old men. You know what I mean? Like there's not just very narrow definition of what it means to be a dancer in salsa in the same way that there is in ballet. And so I think
Yeah.
entering the salsa community, it kind of opened my eyes to like, oh, not all dance styles have this very narrow definition of what you need to be or what you need to look like to fit in and to be a quote unquote dancer. And so I think that really also affected when I went back into ballet training as an adult, where I found an environment that was more like that. I found a class where it was accepting of all ages and body types and things like that. And so I really credit salsa for showing me a different way of being in the dance community, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, it definitely does.
So I think that it's really affected even just like what I want to get out of ballet and what I look for in like a studio environment and even the environment that I try to contribute to creating in classes. Like if I'm going to be a student at a class, I want to make sure that I am part of helping that class feel as welcoming to new people, as accepting of all ages.
Inviting.
Yeah, because that's what I experienced in the salsa community. It was literally life-changing for me. Like, it completely brought back the joy of dancing to me. I was like, "Oh my gosh, like, it can be like this?" My only dance experience up to that point had been being a kid in a ballet studio with a stick up its butt that was telling, girls that were 13 that their boobs were too big and that they were too old or, you're too chubby. And so coming back to salsa, I was like, oh my gosh, like people just dance because they love it. And it doesn't matter what their bodies look like or how old they are. Like, this is incredible. But there's just so many other ways to move and to express yourself. And yeah, partnering is really fun. I think there's a really fun communal aspect to doing a style that allows you to connect with other people. So like I know, swing dancing and tango and
God.
yeah, salsa, bachata, like they're all dances that when you go out and do them socially, you partner with someone else, and it's such a fun way to connect with other people. And I know like for social dancing, really in any style, whether it's salsa, bachata, swing dancing, I think it's social dancing is so great to try as a dancer because it really forces you to let go and kind of be in the moment in a different way than when you're in class. When you're in class, you're in like a learning mode of trying to follow the given steps and get them right. But when you're in a social dance environment, you're just improvising and things are happening and it's not about being perfect.
Go with the flow.
Yeah, it's just about letting go and dancing. And so I think, especially too, like I would say I really think that trying a different style and particularly something where you can dance it socially is really good if you feel kind of in a rut with your ballet training. Like I think if you've been in a long season of ballet training and you're feeling like a little uninspired or a little bit bored maybe in your training, try a social dancing style. Find a salsa class, go out to a salsa club, go find a swing class or a swing social dancing gathering and try it because I think it can help you feel inspired in a different way if maybe you're feeling a little stagnant in your ballet training. I don't know if you'd agree with that.
Yeah, I do agree with that. It's true. Like ballet somehow when it's ballet is boring. That initial training, it is boring. And I love because there's Mr. Do on Instagram, which I would love to meet him in person. If no one knows about him, or you might know about him by the Ducon adults intensive, well, adults and children's intensive, ballet intensive courses that he does. I remember him saying in one video, we do not need to justify why is ballet boring. It is boring because you need to go through the tough part to make it be happy and fun and enjoy it. So ballet sometimes it's true, it can be boring and there's no way to get out of it. It's boring.
Yeah,
It's
it's repetitive.
just repetitive and monotonous. And so when you feel like you're not getting anything out of it or you're a little bit stuck, like, oh, I just feel that this is not going anywhere. It is, but it's very slow. So then take the time and take all you've been learning in ballet, go for social dancing, go to a jazz class, go to contemporary class, a modern ballet, and look at how, oh, okay, we move with more freedom. I would love to hear about anyone else trying any other style of dance.
And to tell us what your experience has been of how it's felt to transition from ballet into a different style of class and what the challenges have been, what you feel like it's lent to your ballet training. That'd be really fun.
Yay, thank you, Ebrem.
Thank you guys so much for listening, and we will catch you on the next one.
Thank you for listening to After Class.
Join the community on YouTube and Instagram, or come dance with us, our weekly Zoom classes for adult ballerinas like you.
Links included in the episode description. Special thank you to our sponsors.
See you next time after class. Podcast produced by Mission Bridge Media.